Psalm 50. The mighty God, even the Lord, hath spoken, and called the earth from the rising of the sun unto the going down thereof. Out of Zion, the perfection of beauty, God hath shined. Our God shall come, and shall not keep silence. A fire shall devour before him, and it shall be very tempestuous round about him. He shall call to the heavens from above, and to the earth, that he may judge his people. Gather my saints together unto me, those that have made a covenant with me by sacrifice. And the heavens shall declare his righteousness, for God is judge himself, Selah. Hear, O my people, and I will speak, O Israel. And I will testify against thee. I am God, even thy God. I will not reprove thee for thy sacrifices or thy burnt offerings, to have been continually before me. I will take no bullock out of thy house, nor he-goats out of thy folds. For every beast of the forest is mine, and the cattle upon 1,000 hills. I know all the fowls of the mountains, and the wild beasts of the field are mine. If I were hungry, I would not tell thee, but the world is mine, and the fullness thereof. Will I eat the flesh of bulls, or drink the blood of goats? Offer unto God thanksgiving, and pay thy vows unto the Most High, and call upon me in the day of trouble. I will deliver thee, and thou shalt glorify me. But unto the wicked God saith, What hast thou to do to declare my statutes, or that thou shouldst take my covenant in thy mouth? Seeing thou hatest instruction, and castest my words behind thee. When thou sawest a thief, and thou consentedst with him, and hast been partaker with adulterers, thou givest thy mouth to evil, and thy tongue frameth deceit. Thou sittest and speakest against thy brother. Thou slanderest thine own mother's son. These things hast thou done, and I kept silence. Thou thoughtest that I was altogether such an one as thyself, but I will reprove thee, and set them in order before thine eyes. Now consider this, ye that forget God, lest I tear you in pieces, and there be none to deliver. Whoso offereth praise glorifieth me, and to him that ordereth his conversation aright will I show the salvation of God.
What if you could do SEO smarter and faster? With Wix, you...
All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahawashi, Bahashem, Kakwadash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples towards younger brothers. And peace and blessings, salutations to the hopeful elect out there pushing his word in truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahawashi, pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful elect, the believers, the listeners who may have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahawashi. And what I want to get into tonight through the Spirit is going to history, all right, leading up to YAHAWASHI. Found this video. I watched it a while back. Very informative. The Edomite. Going to the history. All right, and it leads up to YAHAWASHI. It kind of sets the tone, okay, for the atmosphere. The political atmosphere that YAHAWASHI will be born into. And when we go into this history, it makes the New Testament, make more sense. The different things that was going on, and the way YAHAWASHI would be handling, the certain scribes and Pharisees and Sadducees. When you go into, their origin, how they became a sect, okay, amongst, all right, Judea, okay, because you didn't hear about, Pharisees and Sadducees, a lot, during the Old Testament. They come on the scene, during the time of, all right, the New Testament, because they pretty much, sprung out of, the Maccabean revolt, all right, that happened during the Greeks, okay, and they became, very corrupted, okay. The priesthood was very corrupted, as we go into all the time, but this documentary, it's a quick video, about 15 minutes, not too long, but it goes into it. It has some good information. So Lord will, you brothers, all right, and you few sisters edified. Now, let's set the tone. Okay. Let's get a few precepts, and then we'll go into it. Let's get out of that. All right, because we understand, all right, that the Lord, through all the captivities that we went through, all right, the Lord, okay, will eventually, choose his people again. All right, and then mercy was through YAHAWASHI. Just to read this. This is Isaiah 14:1 said, "For the Lord will have mercy on Jacob and will choose Israel and set them in their own land, and the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob." Okay? So this is a promise that at the end of everything, the Lord, all right, will choose Israel. Okay? And the only way this was able to happen was through Israel being preserved even through all those captivities, man. Okay? And we're going to go through that lineage of how, the line of YAHAWASHI, all right, through David, was preserved. Okay? That the priesthood, those things were reserved, okay, to fulfill promises, to fulfill prophecy, man. Okay? Now, let's go here to Jeremiah. Let's get this in Jeremiah chapter 31 and 31. This is Jeremiah 31 and 31. It says, "Behold, the days come, said the Lord, YAHAWASHI, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah." Okay? So it was always a prophecy of a new covenant. All right? And YAHAWASHI will be that sacrifice, okay, that would establish a new covenant. Okay? But first, grace had to be established, all right, for repentance, all right, and for us to be able to showcase faith within this time, all right. But there has been a sacrifice, for the new covenant that we're going to enter into as the return of YAHAWASHI. Okay, but first, that line had to be reserved for YAHAWASHI to come make that sacrifice to be, to establish a new covenant. Okay, verse 32 said, "Not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers, in the day that I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt, which my covenant they break, although I was a husband unto them, said the Lord. But this shall be the covenant that I will make with thee, the house of Israel, after those days, said the Lord. I will put my law in the inward parts and write them in their hearts, and will be their power, and they shall be my people. Okay? And this was all established through YAHAWASHI. Okay, let's get this in Matthew. All right, then we'll get into the video, and just go through their history. All right, I'm trying to keep it as concise, as possible. This is Matthew 26 and 26. It says, "And as they was eating, Yahushua took bread and blessed it and brake it and gave it to the disciples and said, Take, eat, this is my body. And he took a cup and gave thanks and gave it to them, saying, Drink ye all of it, for this is my blood. This is my blood of the new covenant, which is shed which is shed for many for the remission of sins." Okay, so Yahushua came to establish, okay, a new covenant. All right, for these times. Okay, when he will come back, the sacrifice has already been made. The blood has already been shed. Okay, and it's going to be activated as his return, but it's already established. Okay, and grace has taken us from the old covenant into the new covenant, but Yahushua had to establish that through his sacrifice. Okay, so everything had to be set up for their prophecy to play out. All right, so we're going to go into how certain things were preserved just for that. All right, prophecy to play out, for Yahushua to come on the scene, and everything was set up for him to do exactly what he needed to do. Okay, the Romans being in power. Okay, you still had a little, Judea still had, a little autonomy, which is, like sovereignty. They was able to keep the law, keep their customs, because under the Greeks, all right, especially on the Seleucid line, okay, through Antiochus, what they Hellenized Jake, man. Okay, you will be put to death for trying to keep the law. But on the Romans, okay, there was some leniency to where Jake was in captivity and Jake was taxed, but they was able to keep the law. Okay, you had the temple, okay, and all they had to be, intact for Yahushua to walk perfect and to eventually be that sacrifice, man, to shed their blood through crucifixion. Okay, so let's get straight to it. Like I said, I'm trying to be concise. Just got a few precepts to kind of bag up what he's saying on the video, so we can follow through, follow along. So yeah, this is an Edomite. Then, one thing about these Edomite historians, a lot of them will try to, throw shade on the Bible, but we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna go into it. We're gonna take out the meat, spit out the bones. So I'm gonna let it play.
Hello, my name is Sam, and I'm the host of the YouTube channel Sam Aronow. But today, I'm guest narrating for Useful Charts in order to show you the family tree of the Hasmonean and Herodian dynasties, the two dynasties that ruled the kingdom of Judea during the Hellenistic and early Roman periods. I'll be starting with the Maccabees, who are the main characters in the Hanukkah story, who, according to the Christian Gospels, was the king of Judea when Jesus was born. Finally, I'll be looking at the various descendants of Herod, some of whom continue to impact history far into the Roman period. This video is part of Useful Chart series on biblical genealogy, so if you're interested in watching the other parts as well, you can find a link to those in the description. The previous video in this series ended with the fall of the kingdom of Judah to the Babylonians in 586 BCE. At that point, the original Jewish temple in Jerusalem was destroyed, and the Jews were exiled to Babylon. But when Cyrus the Great of Persia conquered Babylon, he allowed the Jews to return home. The grandson of a former high priest named Joshua and the grandson of a former king named Zerubbabel teamed up to lead the return and to start the process of building a new temple. If we zoom ahead several hundred years to around 200 BCE, we find that the descendants of Joshua are still serving as high priests.
All right, so he goes into, all right, Joshua and Zerubbabel, okay, which those two men, all right, are heavy men in the spirit, okay, and they had a charge of building the second temple. So real quick, and we'll go back here, okay, just to get a little history on Joshua, all right, and Zerubbabel, okay. So now, when you go here, let's just get a little prophecy, okay, dealing with okay, because one thing about it in Israel, you know, you had the king and then you had the priesthood. The kings would come through Judah and the priests would come through Levi. All right, but through YAHAWASHI, all right, he will come under the order of Melchizedek, where he would be a king and a priest. Okay, and there was a prophecy in the book of Zechariah, which this is where you see, you know, Joshua and Zerubbabel mentioned the most. Okay, the Lord, all right, pretty much showed that there was a king to come. There was going to be a king and a priest. Okay, so you get this in Zechariah 6:11 said, then take silver and gold and make crowns and set them upon the head of Joshua, the son of Josedek, the high priest. So he put crowns on the head of Joshua, and Joshua was a high priest. Okay, the priesthood, okay, and the kingship was two separate offices, you know, and it's going to go into it in the video. All right, but under Yahushua, these two offices became combined. All right, it says, and speak unto him, saying, thus said the Lord of hosts, saying, behold, the man whose name is the branch, and who is that branch? Yahushua. Okay, and he shall grow up out of his place, and he shall build the temple of the Lord. And this is the third temple, which is us. Okay, the house of David. Okay, that elect. Okay, beginning with those first fruits. Even he shall build the temple of the Lord, and he shall bear the glory, and shall sit and rule upon his throne, okay, and shall be a priest upon his throne. All right. So you see the combining of the two offices of the priest and the king, okay, and the council of peace shall be, all right, and the council of peace shall be between them both, okay. So now let's deal with the branch. That branch will come out of what line? Okay. And you see the branch in capital letters, letting you know that's Yahushua, man. All right. Because you go to Jeremiah, you're going to see the branch. And it's going to be in capital letters. Okay. Jeremiah 23. All right. This is Jeremiah 23 and 5. All right. It says, behold, the days come, said the Lord Yahweh, that I'll raise unto David a righteous branch. Okay, and a king shall reign and prosper, and shall execute judgment and justice in the earth. Okay, that you know Yahweh Shah was establishing, okay, and combining those two offices of priest and kingship, just as Melchizedek. Okay, you go here to the king of Salem. All right, and you go into Melchizedek. In Genesis 14 and 18, it says, in Melchizedek, king of Salem, all right, of Shalom, all right, king of, king of what? Peace. Brought forth bread and wine. All right. And the new covenant was establishing peace between who? Israel and the Most High. With YAHAWASHI being the mediator. All right. Or this covenant. Moses was the mediator first. Okay. Malak Tazadak. Okay. King of righteousness, man. It says, and Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought forth bread and wine. Okay. Then he give the disciples bread and wine. All right, Matthew 26 to establish what? That new covenant. Okay. And he was the priest of the Most High God. So he was a king and he was a priest. All right. It said, for this Melchizedek, king of Salem, priest of the Most High God, who met Abraham, this Hebrews 7:1. It said, for this Melchizedek, king of Salem, priest of the Most High God, all right, who met Abraham, returning from the slaughter of the kings, and blessed him, to whom also Abraham gave 10th part of all, first being by interpretation king of righteousness, and after that king of Salem, which is king of peace. Okay? So YAHAWASHI combined those two offices that were separated. All right? The kingship and the priesthood. Okay? And those 12,000 men, okay, from each tribe are going to come in that same stead as kings and priests. All right? So let's get this here. In Revelation, yep. Let's get Revelation 5. All right. Let's get to the point. This is Revelation 5:5. It says, and they sung a new song. All right, who's that? The prophets, man. Saying, thou art worthy to take the book and to open the seal thereof, for thou wast slain and hast redeemed us, all right, to the Most High by thy blood out of every kindred and tongue and people and nation. All right, and those kindred is speaking of the nations of the tribes of Israel that have been scattered amongst all nations. Let's just show it real quick. All right, for edification's sake. All right, let's go here. Okay, here, kindred. All right, which the Greek word is phule. Okay, it says a tribe. It says in the New Testament, all persons descending from one of the 12 sons of the patriarch Jacob. Okay, so those kindreds of different nations and different tongues are people scattered amongst different nations, looking like different nations, speaking different tongues. Okay, it says in verse 10, this is the point, it has made us unto our power kings and priests. Okay, and we shall reign on the earth. Okay, and this is what YAHAWASHI was establishing. Okay, and you had the Levitical priesthood. They wanted to be, all right, you had the Levites. They was pretty much wanted to be kings and priests over Israel. But that was YAHAWASHI's office, man. And the order of the men that would come under YAHAWASHI and the priesthood, they didn't want to come under their order. They was corruptible. All right, they had became too corrupt, and that's why John was cussing their ass out, saying, "Who warned you niggas about repentance, man?" Okay. All right. So now I want to do this real quick, and we'll go back to the video. I just want to establish, this understanding. Okay. Now, when you go here, this is the lineage. All right, of YAHAWASHI. Now, when you get to verse 11, it goes into Josiah. Okay, and Josiah, all right, about begot Jehoiakim and his brethren about the time they were carried away to Babylon. Okay, and after they were brought to Babylon, okay, and this is the line of kings. Okay, this is the line of kings of Judah. You see, and just Zerubbabel was of their line of kings. All right, so when you go to verse 12 and you go into, all right, Read verse 12. And after they were brought to Babylon, Jehoiakim, all right, begot Salathiel, and Salathiel begot Zerubbabel. You see? So when you go here, all right, just in the spirit, all right, in the Hebrew is Yakad Nayah, all right, Yakad Nayah, okay, which means Yahweh will establish, all right, and through that line, okay, all right, through that line, the covenant, new covenant was established. Because remember, he said he will establish a new covenant. Well, through this lineage, okay, of Judah through David, okay, the Lord would establish a new covenant, which would establish, all right, those promises, man. All right, so you just read upon the history. It says, son of King Jehoiakim of Judah, the king of Judah for 3 months and 10 days before he surrendered to Nebuchadnezzar and was taken captive to Babylon, where he was in prison for the next 36 years, released at the death of Nebuchadnezzar, and lived in Babylon, all right, until this day. Okay? So he was taken captive to Babylon, all right, and he begot a son, all right, and one of his sons, all right, which is Sha'ah, Lata, Yath, all right, yeah, Sha'ah, La, Dayaath, Dayal, yeah. It says, I have asked of the Most High. And this is the father of Zerubbabel, okay? So you go here to Zerubbabel, which he begot, okay? In the Hebrew,
Strong's G 2216, Zarababel.
Zerubbabel, all right, which is really Zerubbabel, okay, which means sown in Babylon, all right, the grandson of King, all right, Jehoiakim, and leader of the first group of returning exiles from Babylon, okay, so Zerubbabel was from what, all right, the kingly lineage, all right, the line of kings, all right, through David, okay, and through Zerubbabel, okay, and Jacob, all right, begot Joseph, this is Matthew 1:16, the husband of Mary, of whom was born YAHAWASHI, who is called Hamashiach, okay. It says, so all the generations from Abraham to David are 14 generations, and from David until the carrying away in Babylon are 14 generations, and from the carrying away of Babylon unto Yahushua are 14 generations. Okay? Those 42 generations from Abraham to Yahushua. You see? and who blessed Abraham? Melchizedek. You know, if you got ears to hear, man. You know, if you got ears to hear. All right. So let's go back. You know, I just want to establish that, you know, that foundation in the history. Okay. Now, let's go back to the video. All right. I'm gonna let it play, then try to sum it up. I pray, you know, that it's making sense. You know, if it's making sense, let me know. You know, I'll just, you know, try to compress this history. You know, just make it make sense. You know, in the spirit. But, let's go back to it.
and that, in particular, the title is now held by a family known as the Oneids. But by this point, the foreign power controlling Judea has changed, and it is now the Greek Seleucids who are in charge.
And just real quick, on the the lineage of Joshua, the high priest, it said the Oneids. Okay, when you read in which I'll just read it real quick, pull it up here. When you read in Second Maccabees, 4th chapter. All right, just real quick. Wait a second. Yeah. So you go to Second Maccabees, the 4th chapter. All right. I started at verse 1. Second Maccabees 4:1 said, "This Simon now, all right, of whom we spake before, having been a betrayer of the money and of his country, slandered Onias as if he had terrified Helidorus and been a worker of these evils." Okay. So this Ananias, all right, that is speaking of, okay, was from that line of Joshua. Okay, the high priest went through Onias, all right, but then you had his brother, Jason, all right, pretty much, paid to be the high priest, okay, and they got Onias out of there, Onias the second, and then it was just a shit show from there, and that led to the Maccabean revolt, because the leadership had got so corrupted, the priesthood had got so corrupted, but he's gonna go into it.
However, not all Jews were happy with the increased Hellenization promoted by the Seleucids, and things finally came to a breaking point when the Seleucid king Antiochus Epiphanes shut down the Jewish temple in 167. At this point, the Oneids fled to Egypt and built another temple there, while a member of a different priestly family, named Mattathias, launched a resistance movement in Judea in the hopes of achieving Jewish independence. Eventually, Mattathias' son Judah Maccabee recaptured Jerusalem from the Seleucids and reconsecrated the Jewish temple, a story that today is remembered through the holiday of Hanukkah. Judah thus became the first high priest of the Hasmonean dynasty. Note that the name Maccabee, while often applied to all of Mattathias' son, was actually just a nickname held by Judah only. In English, it means the hammer, Hamakabi. So the name of the dynasty is not the Maccabean dynasty, it's the Hasmonean dynasty named after their ancestor Asmoneus. Judah Maccabee was actually killed in combat before the end of the revolt, and the high priesthood went to another family for a while before returning to the Hasmoneans in 153, when it was given to Judah's younger brother Jonathan Aphus, and then later to their brother Simon Tassi, who also proclaimed himself Prince of Judea. In 134, Simon was assassinated along with his two eldest sons, so both positions fell to his youngest son, John. John had been raised in the expectation that he would never have any power, so he began his rule woefully unprepared, but eventually rose to secure full independence for Judea and lead a number of conquests against the now collapsing Seleucid Empire, taking the regnal name Hyrcanus I. Hyrcanus' son, Aristobulus I, continued these conquests.
So you had, the Onias, which there was a righteous line of priests, okay, but then you had Jason overthrow on Onias, and it got to the point to where the Hellenization was so much. All right, it got to be so much, which I'm gonna read here. All right, let's give a couple priests of this Second Maccabees 4, and all right, this Second Maccabees 4:7 said, "But after the death of Seleucus, when Antiochus called Epiphanes took the kingdom, all right, and that's when our people was heavenly Hellenized under Antiochus through force. All right, said Jason, the brother of Ananias, labored underhand to be high priest, promising unto the king by intercession 300 in silver and 80 talents of silver, and of the revenue 80 talents. Besides this, he's promised to assign 150 more if he might have license to set a place for exercise and for the training up of youth in the fashions of the heathen, and to write them of Jerusalem by the name of Antiochians, which when the king had granted and he had gotten into his hand the rule, he forthwith brought his own nation to the Greekish fashion. Okay? So when Ananias, all right, was removed and Jason was set up, and then it was a Seleucid king that died, and Antiochus became, the king, all right, which, the Seleucid Empire had the realm, of Jerusalem, within their province, and that's when Jake became Hellenized. Now, when you go to First Maccabees 1, okay, this is happening after Ananias. This is what's happening during the time of the reign of Jason, all right, as high priest. Okay, so when you go to First Maccabees, the first chapter, all right, and it let you know this is during the time of Jason because this is going to Antiochus. It's First Maccabees 1-10. It says, and there came out of them a wicked root, Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes, son of Antiochus the king, who had been a hostage at Rome, and he reigned in the 137th year of the kingdom of Greeks. In those days went there out of Israel wicked men who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us, for since we departed from them, we have had so much sorrow. So this device pleased them well. Then certain of the people were so forward herein that they went to the king, who gave them license to do after the ordinances of the heathen, whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem according to the customs of the heathen, okay, and made themselves uncircumcised and forsook the holy covenant and joined themselves to the heathen and were sold to do mischief, okay, and this is the behavior that will lead up to the Maccabean revolt, okay. So you had, all right, Mattathias, okay. I'm gonna just read Maccabees, uh, First Maccabees 2. I'm gonna read through it real quick. All right. So you had pretty much Jake, going after the heathen, wilding, tripping. Okay, and you see how these niggas wilding today. These niggas back. All right. You always had a remnant of Israelites that were just wilding, knowing they was Israelites, tripping. Okay, going hard body. you know. All right. So you go First Maccabees 2-1. It says, in those days arose Mattathias, the son of John, the son of Simeon, all right, a priest of the sons of Jorib from Jerusalem, and dwelt in Madon. And he had 5 sons, Joanan called Cadiz, Simon called Thassi, Judas, who was called Maccabeus, Eleazar called Avaron, and Jonathan, whose surname was Appius. And when he saw the blasphemies that were committed in Judah and Jerusalem, he said, woe is me, wherefore I was born to see the misery of my people and of the holy city, and to dwell there when it was delivered into the hands of the enemy, and the sanctuary into the hands of stranger. Her temple is become as a man without glory. Her glorious vessels are carried away into the captivity. Her infants are slain in the street. Her young men with the sword of the enemy. What nation have not had a part in her kingdom and gotten her spoils? All her ornaments are taken away. Of a free woman she has become a bond slave. And behold, our sanctuary, even our beauty and our glory is laid waste, and the Gentiles have profaned it. To what end, therefore, shall we live any longer? Then Mattathias and his son rent their clothes and put on sackcloth and mourn very sore. In the meanwhile, the king's officers, such as compelled the people to revolt came into the city Madon to make them sacrifice, and when many of Israel came unto them, Mattathias also and his sons came together. Then answered the king also and said to Mattathias on this wise, Thou art a ruler and an honorable and great man in this city, and strengthened with sons and brethren. Now therefore come thou first and fulfill the king's commandment, like as all the heathen have done, and the men of Judah also, such as remain at Jerusalem, so shalt thou and thy house be in the number of the king's friends, and thou and thy children shall be honored with silver and gold and many rewards. So it was pretty much on the Mattathias, they wanted to use his influence to persuade Jake, all right, to be Hellenized, man, to go off. Okay? But this is Mattathias' answer. Then Mattathias answered and spake with a loud voice, though all nations that are under the kingdom, all right, the king's dominion obey him and fall away, every one from the religion of their fathers, and give consent to his commandments, yet will I and my sons and my brethren walk in the covenants of our fathers. The Most High forbid that we should forsake the law and the ordinances. We will not hearken to the king's words to go from our religion, either on the right hand or the left. Now, when he had left speaking these words, there came one of the Jews in the sight of all to sacrifice on the altar, which was at Molden according to the king's commandment. So you had a nigga, all right, while Mattathias was speaking, all right, he took his simple ass up there, okay, and sacrificed, all right, swine on the altar, man. Okay, which the which it said which thing when Mattathias saw, he was inflamed with zeal, and his rein trembled, neither could he forbear to show his anger according to the judgment, wherefore he ran and slew upon, all right, and slew him upon the altar. Also the king's commissioner who compelled men to sacrifice, he killed at that time, and the altar he pulled down, and that started their revolt. Okay. So you had Judas, then you had his son or his brothers, that will lead the revolt. And by the time you get down to John Hyrcanus, which was one of the sons of Mattathias, youngest sons, he pretty much let me see, go back to. All right, he was pretty much, all right, the grandson, okay, of Mattathias, okay. And he's the one where John Hyrcanus. He's the one that's really establishes the Hasmonean dynasty. They was making Edomites, okay, keep the law, those Idumeans, okay. And we're gonna see how that come into play, all right, in this video as well. So just laying that foundation for that history, all right, and we'll go on.
Conquests, but created some major political problems when he crowned himself king of Judea rather than prince. So both positions fell to his youngest son, John. John had been raised he would have power, so he began his rule woefully unprepared, but eventually rose to secure full independence for Judea and lead a number of conquests against the now collapsing Seleucid Empire, taking the regnal name Hyrcanus I. Hyrcanus' son, Aristobulus I, continued these conquests, but created some major political problems when he crowned himself king of Judea rather than prince. This is because, according to the biblical book of Numbers, there needed to be a strict separation between the crown and the high priesthood. Aristobulus died less than a year after taking power, but the issue of crown and temple would haunt the Hasmonean dynasty for a long time, as we'll see. Originally, Aristobulus had willed his titles to his brother Antigonus, but Antigonus was killed in a coup led by Aristobulus's wife, Salome Alexandra, who, after Aristobulus's death, married Aristobulus's younger brother, Alexander. However, Alexander was an unpopular tyrant who caused a civil war. And while he and his allied political party, the Sadducees, won that civil war, their victory was rapidly undone in a soft coup by Salome and her allies, the Pharisees, which ended up with Salome as the real power behind the throne. When Alexander died in
So you see, this is when the Sadducees and the Pharisees come on the scene. All right, the Sadducees, they was more Hellenized, they was more the upper class, okay, the aristocrats, okay, of all right, Judea. Okay, the Sadducees, they was with, the Hellenization. The Pharisees was more orthodox. Okay, that's why they were so heavy into the law. You know, they was all right. I was trying to trip Yahushua up with the law. Okay, but the Sadducees, them niggas just balling. Okay, they just knew they was Israelites. They knew scriptures. Okay, but they erred not knowing the scriptures as Yahushua told them. You know, but this is where they come on the scene through this infighting between, all right, rulership of the Hasmonean dynasty. Okay, so they was birthed in corruption. All right, so by the time Yahushua is on the scene, okay, this is 3, 4, 5 generations of these niggas, man. Okay, tripping. Okay, corrupt. All right, it's gonna say how they turned the priesthood into a political office under Rome, man. Okay,
in 76, Salome was crowned as Queen Alexandra, and it was under her that Jews power and prestige. Under Alexandra's reign, the high be of priestly blood to be eligible, and the position was given to her eldest son Hyrcanus II, with her younger son Aristobulus II to become king, thus separating the crown and the priesthood. However, this ended up not happening, because Aristobulus was an ally of the now marginalized Sadducees. So another civil war erupted, in which Hyrcanus II ruled as king and high priest for a year before being overthrown by Aristobulus. This war quickly ground to a stalemate, which was finally broken by the Roman leader Pompey the Great. Under Pompey's supervision, the monarchy was suspended in order to finally deal with the succession and separation of powers. Hyrcanus II was reinstalled as high priest and given the title ethnarch, and his daughter married Aristobulus' son in order to reunite the two sides in the civil war. As luck would have it, their first child was a daughter, Mariamne the Hasmonean, who as a woman was ineligible to be high priest, thus finally separating the crown and the priesthood. However, Mariamne would never be queen in her own right. In order to fight in the civil war, Hyrcanus II had relied on the leadership of a general named Antipater the Idumean.
all right. So now you're gonna see, all right, it switch over to Esau. All right, because pretty much you had Jake, you know, his crown. All right, at Aristobulus the third, his crown was being held up by, okay, Antipater the Idumean. Okay, and they just prove, all right, what's an Idumean. Okay, so let's go to the blue letter real quick and we'll go back. But now we're going to see how Esau slithered, his way. Okay, and he slithered his way into the to call himself the king of the Jews. And niggas, you gonna see how he just slithered his way in, man. All right, like the goddamn serpent he is. Okay, well they just prove. All right, what is Idumean? Okay, so real quick, let's get Isaiah 34. All right, and this is the fate. All right, this is a prophecy that hasn't happened yet, but it's going to happen. Is Isaiah 34:5 said, "For my sword shall be bathed in heaven. Behold, it shall come down upon Idumea and upon the people of my curse to judgment." All right, so let's get this word Idumea. Okay, and go here. who do we have? All right. Edom. Okay. Edom, Idumean, descendants of Esau, land of Edom, Idumea, land south and southeast of Palestine, which is Palestine was part, of the promised land of Israel. So Idumea is right there to the south. Okay. You see, there's Edom. All right, Esau. So you go here to Ezekiel 36. All right. This is Ezekiel 36 and 4. It said, therefore, ye mountains of Israel, and this is Ezekiel prophesying to the land. All right, the land of Israel. It said, hear the word of the Lord power. Thus said the Lord power to the mountains, to the hills, to the rivers and the valleys, to the desolate waste, and to the cities that are forsaken, which became a prey and derision to the residue of the heathen that are round about. Because since we've, been ran out of their land since 70 AD, the heathen, all right, and, different heathens have set up shop, all right, and the latest heathen, to establish themselves in our land is Amalek, man. The nation that the Lord say he will have war from generation to generation. Now you read verse 5, it says, therefore thus said the Lord, surely the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of heathen and against all Idumea. Okay? Idumea. So just as the Herodian dynasty, they set themselves up in our land, okay? Saying, that because the Herod, he was pretty much pretending, okay? Those Herodian kings, pretending as if they was actually, the king of the Jews, man. Okay? Imitating, man. Which have appointed my land in their possession, which adjored their heart with the spiteful minds to cast it out for a prey. Okay, and it all goes back to these devils on their birthright, man. Okay, so you had this, okay, happening. You had, back then, you had Esau in the land. Like what he doing now is nothing new. He done set up in our land before, you know. Imposing as us. Okay. This time he just did it on a whole nother scale, man. Okay. As if we don't, we don't exist. You see? So let's go here. Oh yeah, let's get this. And that's why YAHAWASHI said this. This is why YAHAWASHI, you had the coon nigga. All right, probably this, and this is probably the nigga, the nigga that came to YAHAWASHI and said this. This is probably the nigga that had they got the Trump for niggas for Trump t-shirts. Okay, and remember, this is Luke 13:31. It said the same day there came a certain of the Pharisees. You see that? The Pharisees was all about political power. Okay, and everyone looked at YAHAWASHI as a threat. Esau, niggas, everybody looked at YAHAWASHI as a threat, man. It said the same day there came certain of the Pharisees saying unto him, get thee out and depart hence, for Herod will kill thee. Okay? Coon ass nigga, man. This is what he's saying, YAHAWASHI. And it says, and he said, and this is what YAHAWASHI said back, and he said unto them, go ye and tell that fox. Okay? Fox, man. What is a fox? Something that it's a sly creature, man. Okay? It says, behold, I cast out devils, and I do cures today and tomorrow, and then the third day I shall be perfected. Okay? And he was speaking of that crucifixion. That third day he was perfected. All right? And we're waiting upon, because we're in the third day now, and we're going to be perfected at his return. Okay? All right? We're in that 30,000 year period. He was perfected in those 3 days. Okay, but prophetic speaking, a day to the Lord is 1,000 years. We are in that third day since his death, man. Well, we're going to be perfected, man. Okay, but yeah, Yahawashi called him a fox, man, because he knew. Okay, like nah, pasta ass nigga, man. You see, so I'm gonna let it play some more. All right, but you're gonna see how Esau just slither his way in there. He married pretty much, a Judite woman. Well, I think she was Levite. So the line of the Hasmonean dynasty. Okay, Herod is gonna marry into that line. Okay. So you see Esau. All right, when Herod got in there, he started wiping out. Okay, any descendant of the Hasmonean dynasty. Okay, so now it should make sense when they spoke of Yahawashi being born. He went crazy and just started killing all the Hebrew boys. Which we're gonna get that, man. You see, he was looking to that. He was looking at that as a threat to the throne, because they was thinking Yahawashi was coming to establish the kingdom then. Okay, but Herod had already been slaughtering. All right, Jake. Before the wise men let him know that, hey, the prophecy of the Israelite king, all right, has happened. Okay, I say it should start to sink in a little different. When you understand the history behind what was going on leading up to Yahawashi. Okay. Oh, Salaki on a no sound. Got to share it. Salaki. I'm gonna run it back. The water for letting me know. Um. So yeah, let me run it back. All right, to when Herod. Uh. So yeah, I'm gonna run it back. I'm gonna run it back to when Herod, pretty much killing off the remainder of the Hasmonean dynasty, everyone that he could, But that pretty much was the end of the Hasmonean dynasty when Herod, married, into all right that dynasty. This is when Esau took over that dynasty, So I'm gonna let it play from there, okay? And he's gonna go into the different Herods. He's gonna go into, Herod. He gonna try to downplay it, and Herod, had the order for those Hebrew babies, those Hebrew sons to be killed, you know. Um,
order to reunite the two sides in the Civil War. As luck would have it, their first child was a daughter, Mariamne the Hasmonean, who as a woman was ineligible to be high priest, thus finally separating the crown and the priesthood. However, Mariamne would never be queen in her own right. In order to fight in the Civil War, Hyrcanus II had relied on the leadership of a general named Antipater the Idumean, who then arranged a marriage between Mariamne and his son Herod. When the Parthians briefly invaded the eastern Mediterranean and installed Mariamne's uncle Antigonus Mattathias as a puppet ruler, Herod and Mariamne fled to Rome, where, due to his friendship with Mark Antony, Herod was king. Herod and Mariamne had two sons, Aristobulus and Alexander. But as Herod fell deeper into paranoia, he eventually had Mariamne executed, later followed by Aristobulus and Alexander, as well as all known Hasmoneans. The only Hasmoneans he couldn't get to were Aristobulus and Alexander's children, about whom we'll discuss more in a moment. Herod had several more wives and produced a very large number of children, but today he is mostly remembered for two things. First, he undertook a major renovation and expansion of the Second Temple in Jerusalem, and in fact, the only part of the Jewish temple that still exists today is a section that was added by Herod. That section is known as the Western Wall, or Wailing Wall. The second thing he's often associated with is the Massacre of the Innocents, an event that is recorded in the Gospel of Matthew, but for which there is no evidence outside the New Testament. According to the story, Herod was visited by 3 wise men from the east, who had come to Jerusalem because the stars had told them that a new king of the Jews had just been born in the nearby town of Bethlehem. In order to avoid a potential usurper, Herod had all the male children under the age of 2 living nearby killed. Again, this event is not recorded anywhere other than the Gospel of Matthew, and most historians consider it a myth.
and that's Esau trying to downplay his wickedness, man. Okay? Esau just trying to downplay the wickedness, man. See, a lot of historians, it's cool, when the Bible says something or some type of history is in their favor, but then, everyone loves to go to the Bible when it backs up their point, but then when it goes against, okay, their agenda, their image, now we don't. It's a myth. You see. But let's go to it. Then we go back to it. All right, but yeah, Esau, and that's Esau's MO. Okay, that's Esau MO, man, to try to wipe out. All right, the males of Israel, man. Everything that Esau Edom does is an attack against the Israelite male. That's why this society is so against Israelite males. Okay, because of who's in power. You see, this is why this system is so against and is so oppressive to the Israelite male. Okay, which women catch hell too, but it's geared. Okay, he even gives the woman power to do what? because all the power, you look at all the power that the Israelite woman has, is to be rebellious against the Israelite man. It's to put hell on the Israelite man, from the court systems, okay, to the authority, uh, 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 the custody of children, okay, all of the just the liberty that the woman has, all to be a rebellion, okay, and to be a weapon against the Israelite man, okay, because of who's in power. You see, um, yeah. So let's go. Let's get that count. All right. And at the end of the day, this was fulfillment of prophecy. All right, because it's in the Old Testament as well. We'll get it. But let's read the account. All right. It says, now when Yahawashi was born in Bethlehem of Judea in the days of Herod, this is Herod the Great, the king, behold, there came wise men from the east to Jerusalem, saying, where is he that is born King of the Jews? For we have seen his star in the east and are come to worship him. When Herod the king heard these things, he was troubled, and all Jerusalem with him. Now, this wasn't speaking of everyone in Jerusalem. This was the king and everyone and them niggas, all right, that corrupt them Pharisees and scribes, Sadducees that was in the courts of the king, okay? Because the only way, it said, when Herod the king heard these things, because all Jerusalem went there, okay? It was just them niggas that was around, okay, and in the courts of King Herod, man. When they heard when they heard about the king Yahawashi, them niggas like, damn, he here. You see? They were troubled. It says, in all Jerusalem with him, and when he had gathered all the chief priests and scribes of the people together, he demanded them where, all right, Hamashiach should be born, all right, the anointed. And they said unto him, in Bethlehem of Judea, for thus it is written by the prophet, and thou, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, art not the least among the princes of Judah, okay? For out of thee shall come a governor that shall rule my people Israel. So remember, he's an impostor king, okay? He's an impostor king, so when he hearing this, he's troubled. Okay, it said, then Herod, when he had privately called the wise men, inquired of them diligently what time the star appeared, and he sent them to Bethlehem and said, go and search diligently for the young child, and when you have found him, bring me word again that I may come and worship him also. So he was trying to be a devil, okay? Just as Cain slew Abel, okay? He had the same intent, okay? He wanted this, and this is Esau's mindset. He wants to destroy prophecy. Okay? It says, and when they heard the thing, they departed, and lo, the star which they saw in the east went before them, till they came and stood over where the young child was. When they saw the star, they rejoiced with exceeding great joy. Okay? And when they were coming to the house, they saw the young child with Mary, his mother, and fell down and worshiped him. And they had opened their treasures. Okay. And it never says anything about three wise men. Okay. It just says wise men, you know. Okay. There came wise men from the east. Okay. And they give a number on the wise men. All right. And it says, when verse 10, it says, and when they were coming to the house, they saw the young child with Mary, his mother, and fell down and worshiped him. And when they had opened their treasures, they presented unto him gifts, gold, and frankincense, and myrrh. And being warned of the Most High in a dream that they should not return to Herod, they departed in their own country another way. And when they were departed, and the angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream, saying, arise and take the young child and his mother and flee into Egypt, and be there until I bring thee word, for Herod will seek the young child to destroy him. When he arose, he took the young child and his mother by night and departed into Egypt. And when it says, and was there until the death of Herod, that it might be fulfilled, which was spoken, okay, of the Lord by the prophet, saying, out of Egypt have I called my son. Okay, and Yahawashi was doing nothing from his birth to, the moves and everything that was going on, he was fulfilling prophecy, man. Okay, it said, then Herod, when he saw that he was mocked of the wise men, was exceeding wroth, and sent forth and slew all the children that were in Bethlehem, all right, and in all the coast thereof, from 2 years old and under, according to the time which he had diligently inquired of the wise men. So he lost it. Herod lost it. Typical Edomite, man. All right, and this is in prophecy, man. This is all in prophecy. All right. This is Jeremiah 31:15. Said, thus said the Lord Yahawashi, a voice was heard in Ramah. Okay, lamentation and bitter weeping. Rahel weeping for her children, refused to be comforted for her children because they were not. Okay, and you go here, and you can imagine, man. You can imagine, Roman soldiers just coming in and taking your 2-year-old and younger. The connection, that the mother has with those children at that age, man. Because they were breastfeeding back then. They were probably just, getting off the milk, okay? And then they just being slaughtered in front of them. You just sticking spears through children, man. Okay? So it ain't, those women couldn't be comforted, man. You see? And you go to Rahel, you go to Ramah, all right? Now it's speaking of their land, all right? All right, Ramah in the Hebrew, okay, and which means hill, okay? It's a place re-inhabited by the Benjaminites after return from captivity, okay? A place between Israel and Syria, also Ramoth Gilead, okay? So in that region, it was a slaughter of those children, man. Rahel, which goes into all right, Rahala, all right, Rakal, okay, Rakal, which is you, female lamb, okay. And Rachel was a mother of Joseph and Benjamin, all right. But Israelite women, crying for their children, man. You can imagine, their bitterness and their hurt, and them devils going to pay for all that, man. Okay, then you go here in prophecy, you go Revelation 12, okay. It said this Revelation 12:1. It says, and there appeared a great one in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. Okay, and this is Israel. And she being with child, and their child is Yahawashi. All right, because Yahawashi sprung out of Judah, which is what? A tribe of Israel. All right, this woman represents, Israel. It says, and she being with child cried, travailing in birth, in pain to be delivered. And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, which is speaking of the Roman Empire, man. All right, this pagan Roman Empire having 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns, okay, upon his head, and his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven and did cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered for to devour her child as it was born. Okay? And those 3 stars represent Benjamin, Levi, and Judah. Okay? which was the population, the main population of Judea at that time. You had a few, minor sprinklings of the tribe, but that was the main, bulk of their time. Okay? So through Herod, this is what had played out. This is what was being played out. Okay? You see, but they couldn't stop the prophecy, man. Okay? And she brought forth, verse 5, and she brought forth a man child who was to rule all the nation with a rod of iron, and her child was caught up into the Most High, all right, into his throne. Yahushua was eventually crucified. He was resurrected, but then he was caught up in their chariot back unto the Heavenly Father at the right hand. Okay? But Esau couldn't stop that prophecy. That's why Yahushua said, well, it is finished, man. All right? We got your ass, boy. You done. You see? And that's why we can go here. This is 1 Corinthians 15 and 57 said, but thanks be to the Most High, which giveth us the victory through our Lord Yahushua HaMashiach. See, we already got the victory. When Yahushua completed that mission and he went back to sit on that throne, now the only thing he's waiting for is that green light to come get busy, man. And guess what? See, now everything should, fall into place. This the Bible just ain't no random stories and words. And man, this is business, man. This this is why you go to Isaiah 63. Who is that coming from Edom? This is Yahushua. It ain't, we see why he coming to Edom first. With dyed garments from Basra, this that is glorious in his apparel, traveling in the greatness of his strength, I that speak in righteousness, mighty to save. Okay? Who is this coming from Edom? That's Yahushua. Okay? You see, he coming to deal. It says, wherefore art thou red in thy apparel and thy garments like him that treadeth in the wine fat, representing the slaughter. It says, I have trodden the winepress alone, and of the people there was none with me, for I will tread them in my anger and trample them in my fury, and their blood shall be sprinkled upon my garments, and I will stain all my raiment. For the day of vengeance is in my heart, and the year of my redeemed is come. And see, Yahushua got all this anger against these Edomites, man. Like Yahushua know that, like, damn, he put the hit out on all those 2-year-olds and under. Like Yahushua, he coming back to avenge all that, man. Everything this devil has done, Yahushua is coming back to avenge all that, man. But yeah, I just wanted to go into that history. It's about 8 more minutes left on the video, but for brothers that want to watch the rest of it, just go into their history, go into Acts, the lineage of Herod, all right, the Herodian dynasty, through the rest of the books, But yeah, I just want to go into that, just going into the history leading up to Yahushua, and it kind of, paint a picture, why certain things happen, why Yahushua was dealing with Jake, how he was dealing with him, and it's all linked to prophecy, man. So Lord will you brothers and you few sisters edified once again and give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh by Hashem, Yahushua by Hashem Kakwadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great example to all his younger brothers. And peace and blessings, salutations, hopefully, shalom.